crushed by failure. Everything you worked for, gone. The sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the dreams, they all shattered into 1,000 pieces. And now, you're left with the weight of defeat pressing down on your chest like an unbearable force. Maybe it was a business that collapsed, a relationship that ended in betrayal, a goal that slipped through your fingers after years of effort. It doesn't matter what form it took. Failure has a way of making itself feel like the end of the road. The shame, the regret, the overwhelming feeling that you are powerless. It feels like drowning in a sea of doubt with no shore in sight. But what if I told you that this moment, this crushing, soul-breaking experience, is not your downfall? What if, instead of a curse, failure is your greatest opportunity? The ancient Stoics would tell you that right now, at this very moment, you stand at the threshold of something greater. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, who ruled during wars, betrayals, and plagues. He could have broken under the pressure. He could have given in to despair. But instead, he wrote these words in his private journal. What stands in the way becomes the way. His empire was collapsing around him, yet he saw obstacles not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. Seneca, one of the most brilliant minds of his time, was exiled from Rome, his name disgraced, his life seemingly ruined. But did he wallow in self-pity? No. He rebuilt himself, wrote his most powerful works in exile, and shaped the very philosophy that could save you now. Epictetus, a man who was born a slave, had every reason to surrender to despair. He was chained, beaten, treated as nothing, more than property. And yet, his response: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You see, failure is not an end. It is a test of who you are and who you can become. The Stoics understood that life does not owe us success. Life will break you again and again. It will rip apart everything you thought was certain. And you have two choices: stay down or rise. Right now, you have a decision to make. You can see this failure as proof that you are not good enough, that you were never meant to succeed. Or you can see it as the Stoics did, as fire sees fuel, something to consume, something to use. The moment you stop seeing failure as the enemy, it loses its power over you. Because in the end, the only thing that truly matters is not what happened to you, but how you respond. And if history has taught us anything, it's that those who rise from failure are the ones who change everything. You are standing at the crossroads. One path leads to self-pity, endless regret, and the slow decay of everything you could have been. The other, reinvention, strength. A version of yourself forged in fire, unshaken by the weight of past failures. This is where most people falter. They let the pain consume them, surrendering to the illusion that failure defines them. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire that seemed determined to break him. Betrayal from those closest to him, invasions, an unrelenting plague decimating his people. Yet, through it all, he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Failure isn't the villain here, it's your perception of it that's poisoning you. You think you've lost everything? The truth is, you've lost nothing but an illusion. Seneca warned against this trap. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. He wrote, "Your mind amplifies the pain, distorts it, makes it larger than life. You are reliving the moment of failure over and over, allowing it to define you. When in reality, the moment has passed. It's gone. Only your attachment to it keeps it alive. Let it go. Epictetus, the slave-turned-philosopher, understood this better than anyone. Stripped of freedom, beaten, forced to live at the mercy of others, he had every excuse to surrender, to bitterness. Instead, he declared, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You are not the failure. You are what comes after it." So, what comes next? Will you allow this moment to break you, or will you use it as fuel? Because that's all it is. Fuel. A test, an initiation into something greater. Every person who has ever achieved something remarkable has met failure face to face. The difference? They refuse to bow to it. Think of the fire that devours everything in its path. You can throw wood, debris, even destruction into it, and it will only grow stronger. That is how the Stoics saw adversity. Obstacles don't weaken you. They exist to be consumed. You have one task now. Accept what has happened, not as a tragedy, but as a gift. Because this is the moment where you decide who you are. Weakness or strength. Defeat or resilience. You choose. And when you make that choice, when you stop mourning what was and start building what could be, you'll understand what the Stoics knew all along. That failure was never the end. It was the beginning. The moment has come. The choice is in front of you. Will you be another name on the long list of those who surrendered? Or will you carve your name into history as someone who refused to be broken? Because that's the truth. This is not about failure. It never was. It's about what happens next. Marcus Aurelius commanded legions, ruled the greatest empire of his time, and yet he sat alone at night, writing to himself, reminding his own mind not to give in. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The man who ruled the world understood what few ever grasp. Control is an illusion. The only real power lies in how you respond to what happens. Everything else is noise. Seneca, the brilliant thinker who counseled emperors, knew loss intimately. He lost wealth, status, and in the end, even his life was taken from him. But he never lost himself. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body, he wrote. Pain is not an enemy. It is a trainer, a forge that shapes those willing to endure it. But most people turn away, seeking comfort instead of challenge. That is why they never rise. Epictetus had nothing, not even freedom. Yet from the depths of slavery, he spoke with the wisdom of kings. No man is free who is not master of himself. You want to be free from this failure? You want to break its hold on you? Then take back control of yourself. Stop letting what has happened dictate who you are. There is only one way forward, and that is action. The past cannot be rewritten, but the future is yours to construct. The Stoics never wasted time in self-pity. They acted, they rebuilt. They moved forward while others stood still, paralyzed by their own doubt. If you refuse to act, if you sit in the ashes of what was, you are making a choice to let failure win. But there is another way. Burn the old plans. Abandon the fantasies of how things were supposed to be. Accept reality as it is, and from there, build something new, something stronger, something unstoppable. When the world looks at you now, let them see not someone who failed, but someone who refused to stay down. Let them see the fire, the resilience, the unwavering will to keep moving no matter what. This is not the end. It never was. The Stoics understood that life is a series of challenges, each one shaping you into something greater, if you allow it. What stands in the way becomes the way. The only question is, will you walk that path? Because if you do, if you take the pain, the loss, the failure, and use it, then nothing will ever be able to stop you again. Everything you've been through has led to this point. Every loss, every heartbreak, every time the world knocked you down. It was preparing you. The question isn't whether you will rise. The question is how. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayals. From his own people, endless war, a plague that tore through his empire. Any lesser man would have collapsed under the weight of it. But he refused. He wrote, "You must build your life action by action and be satisfied if each one achieves its goal." He did not waste time mourning what had been lost. He moved forward. Step by step, battle by battle, that is how empires are built. Not in moments of ease, but in chaos, in uncertainty, in the fire of adversity. You think your story is over? It hasn't even begun. Seneca warned against the greatest enemy of all. Not failure, not suffering, but hesitation. While we are postponing, life speeds by. Most people wait. They wait for circumstances to change, for luck to arrive, for a sign that never comes. And while they wait, time slips through their fingers like sand. There is no waiting. There is only now. The Stoics knew this. They understood that the only moment that matters is the one in front of you. Yesterday is a memory. Tomorrow is not promised. What do you have? This breath, this decision, this moment to act. Epictetus, the slave who became a philosopher, had everything taken from him, except his mind. Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him to himself. And now, here you are, stripped of what you thought was certain, faced with the truth of who you really are. This is not destruction. This is revelation. But revelation means nothing without action. That is the difference between those who stay broken and those who rise from the ashes. The Stoics did not preach passive acceptance. They demanded response. They demanded motion. So move. Decide right now that you will no longer be a prisoner of what happened. Accept the past as unchangeable. Accept failure as necessary. Accept struggle as fuel. And then take the first step. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. You have a fire inside. You that no failure can extinguish. The world may have knocked you down, but it has not defeated you. It never could. Because what stands in the way is nothing compared to the force within you. The weak stay down, the fearful retreat, but the strong, those who understand what the Stoics knew, stand back up, stronger than before. And when they do, nothing can stop them. So, rise. There is a moment in every great story when the hero stands at the edge of oblivion. Everything has fallen apart. Every effort has failed. The world has turned its back. This is that moment for you. And this is where most people give up. But you are not most people. Marcus Aurelius sat on battlefields. Watching the empire he swore to protect crumble under the weight of war. Every advisor told him to surrender. Every sign pointed to defeat. But he refused to see ruin. He saw opportunity. He wrote, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will look there." He didn't wait for circumstances to change. He changed himself. Seneca, exiled from Rome, stripped of his wealth, humiliated by those in power, had every reason to drown in despair. But he didn't. He put ink to paper and wrote words that would outlive the empire that cast him aside. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. He understood that suffering was not punishment, it was transformation. And what about Epictetus? Born into slavery, beaten, treated as nothing, yet he became one of the greatest minds in history. Do not explain your philosophy, embody it. He didn't just talk about resilience, he lived it. He showed the world that power is not about status, wealth, or circumstances. Power is how you respond to the storm. And now the storm is here. You have been knocked down. But that is not the end of the story. That is where the real story begins. Because failure is not final, it is fuel. The weak see failure as the end. The Stoics saw it as the beginning. The moment where everything falls apart is the moment you decide who you really are. Not who you pretend to be, not who the world expects you to be, but the version of you that will rise from this, the one that doesn't just survive, but dominates. You will not wait, you will not wallow, you will move. Action is the cure. That is what the Stoics understood better than anyone. Life will break you if you let it. It will crush you if you sit still. But the moment you stand, the moment you push forward despite everything, you become something unstoppable. So ask yourself, what stands in your way? Whatever it is, it's only there to make you stronger. The obstacle is the way. The challenge is the path. The hardship is the very thing that will shape you into something greater. And when you decide, truly decide, that nothing will keep you down, that no failure will define you, that no loss will break you, then you will understand what the Stoics knew all along, that you were never defeated. You were simply being prepared. Now rise and never fall again.